Okay, so today I want to talk through a concept called lean coffee. And the key part around this is that the agenda is left to be determined by whoever shows up to the session. So like for today, whoever shows up, that's the right people for this meeting. It's really flexible to be able to handle whoever's there and whatever interesting topics come up. A traditional meeting or event or conference may involve up to a year or more of planning of who the speakers will be and what the topic is and all this stuff. And that's the opposite of this. It's supposed to be more engaging and more focused, and there's time restrictions on the topics and some simple rules of how do you proceed. A little background concept developed by Jim Benson and Jeremy Lightsmith in Seattle. They wanted to use lean techniques, but they didn't want a whole big cumbersome meeting and speaker list and trying to find topics and stuff like that and guess at what people wanted to talk about. So they came up with this idea that they meet at a coffee shop every Wednesday and figure out what the topics were right when they get there. As we would do in a normal meetup with people in general, it's not structured and there's no agenda meeting discipline wrapped around it. But when you have larger groups, you want to have some kind of structure. So the real structure is just the way in which you pick topics. So in person, you just have markers and Post-it notes and some kind of drink. You don't have to have a drink. And then we can use something like Mural as a guide, but some digital system where people can see what the topics are and contribute and write things down and organize and rearrange things. So the basic rules is that you have up to 9 people in a group that are picking topics, and then you split if you have more than that. You have everyone's name listed, and then we have this Kanban board, which if you're not familiar, it's basically a board to kind of track and restrict the number of projects or actions you're working on at any given time. So you have a list of topics on the left, and then the middle one is your current discussions, which may only be one topic at a time. And then once that's done, you move that to the done column, and then you bring over the next topic based on priority. And then you talk through all the topics at the beginning. You say, this is what I want to talk about, and you give 1 or 2 sentences about what that sticky note really means. And then there's a voting that takes place of 2 or 3 votes per person. Whichever ones get the highest number of votes, that goes in as the first topic, and then second and third, depending on how much time you have. Whatever you don't get to, that can be for future topics, or you come back and start the list again next time. You set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you have this discussion. And then at the end of that time, the timer goes off and you make a decision. Do you want to keep going another 2 more minutes, or do you want to stop the topic and move to the next topic? So you can continue if things are going well, you can extend it. But you're also keeping an eye that there's other topics you want to get to. So it's not another 5 minutes, it's just a shorter version. So they either give a thumbs up, thumbs down, or no choice, or not sure, or sideways. And then either at the end of that topic or at the end of the session, you have like key takeaways. And you spend a couple minutes reviewing and kind of recapping what was valuable or helpful. There's also a facilitator role, and you just make sure that the structure is being followed and that everyone's speaking just like you would normally in a facilitation role. If there's remote people and there's people in the room, then you want to make sure remote people are tied in like you would if that was the normal situation. Have the timer going and kind of stick to the general rules that they have. Another event I've been part of is called an Unconference. Very similar, except it's for larger groups. So this group had 50 or 100 people attend. And you have the same thing, except it's set up just like a conference. You have sessions going at the same time, and you pick from the different sessions. But they place the different sessions in different time slots. So you have these pre-assigned time slots, and then you come together and there's a big brainstorming at the beginning, and then topics get identified. There's so many different people there that a lot of the topics can get placed into a session. Then people get to decide which ones they go to, but you're basically building out the topics when you get there. No one's giving a presentation because they're not prepared for that, but they might be able to talk off the top of their head on a topic, and then it should be more dialogue discussion based. So it's not sitting and getting a lecture. You are learning something through people talking back and forth, and they're sharing and they're educating, but it's not, here, let me pull up my 20-slide PowerPoint deck and go through it and teach at you. It's more of the people in the room are explaining things. And someone might say, can you explain that? I don't know what that means. And they'll say it. It's just a very informal in how it's done. Usually people are explaining a little bit of their background as they're talking, but there could be less authority or expertise where someone's leading on more than what they really do know. They encourage you to get up and leave. You don't have to wait till the end of the session. If you don't feel like staying there, get up and leave and go to another session. Encouraging people to be flexible and go to whatever interests you. If you feel inspired to not go to any session, you just hang out and talk to people in the hall. So I've gone to 2 of those and I thought it was pretty good. That dialogue and networking, so a little more interaction with the participants. I think they even had some flexibility to add sessions, or some didn't have another session, so they could decide to keep going. Say, we're going to take up another 30 minutes. If anyone wants to stay, we're going to keep talking on this, or we're going to talk about this specific thing. So it's kind of like just-in-time conference planning. So this is just a smaller version, basically, of that. But if you see the unconference term being used, that's very similar to this. I found this graphic is pretty good. Build the board, brainstorm topics, pitch your topics, prioritize the list, have the conversations, decide to continue or move on to the next topic, have those discussions, and then lock in your learnings at the end, my takeaways. So I found a template in Mural for Lean Coffee, so that was kind of cool.